So Ria, where's your apprenticeship based?
So I work for a company called CPI, and we're in Sedgefield, on the Nest Park. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but there's a few companies. It's sort of like an industrial estate, but for more science-based, like technology companies. But we own quite a few of the buildings on it.
Right. And how long have you been doing the apprenticeship for?
Probably about a year and a half now, just coming up.
Right. And how long is the apprenticeship in total?
4 years in total.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you're becoming a veteran at this point, then, I guess.
Yeah, sort of. On my way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it must be nice when you sort of see the next intake coming up behind you as well, and being able to share some experience with them.
Yeah, no, it'll be good because CPI, they've got a few different sites. So we've got this one in Sedgefield, one in Darlington, one towards Redcar, Wilton. So across CPI, they've had a lot of apprentices, but me and Connie, who started at the same time, we were the first 2 apprentices at Sedgefield.
Right.
So we were not the guinea pigs, but for this business side. But honestly, it's been amazing. We've had Haley, who's obviously taken in the rest of the apprentices. So it's not like the company was new to apprentices.
Yeah.
But this year,
nonetheless, you're still trailblazers in your particular site. Yeah. And so, what kind of things are you doing as part of the apprenticeship?
So mine is chemistry based. So I mean, the good thing about it is it's so varied. I'm always on around 2 to 3 different projects, on completely different things. That I don't know if you know much about CPI as a company.
Well, perhaps, can you talk me through it in broad terms? I mean, I've heard of it certainly, but I don't know a great deal about the operating model. So by all means.
Yeah. So basically, they help SMEs, so small and medium enterprises. So say they've got an idea, they help to take the risk out of scaling up. So CPI have all the kit, all the scientists, all the expert knowledge. So they come and work with us, and we then provide them that, so they don't have to invest in all this to find out that it doesn't work, for example. So it really takes the risk out of it for them. But the companies that we work with, the thing is, a lot of them are sometimes commercial, so I can't actually talk about the things.
No, that's fine. But I get the sense of what the company is trying to achieve, and that must be a very varied place to work then, in terms of the different challenges and the different types of equipment that you see coming in front of you, and obviously what different companies will need, I assume, from the same pieces of equipment can be very different as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, Ria, I know you've got some questions you want to ask me. I've got some I want to ask you about how we can sort of broaden the appeal of apprenticeships and make sure that we get the message out to as many young people as possible. Do you want to go first, or shall I?
No, you can feel free to go first.
I'll fire away with mine then. Well, I mean, I suppose the first question would be how you feel your apprenticeship has helped you to progress. What you think you've taken from it?
I'd say the main things, sort of compared to going to uni, is the actual, not just the hands-on experience working on the kit, but working in like a professional environment. Actually working with customers. Even at this point, I'm only a year and a half in, but having meetings with customers and other colleagues. So really like being involved in those types of more higher up meetings from a younger age. I feel I'm just constantly learning things which will put us way above people just coming out of uni who've just been learning, studying for a few years. Yeah.
Well, I think that concept of earning while you learn is very attractive, isn't it? And obviously, as you say, you're building up professional experience at a very early stage of your career, which is fantastic. In terms of how you rate the overall experience over your year and a half so far, what would you? I mean, what would you say have been the particular highlights, and what would you say you'd enjoyed most in that time?
It's hard to pick one thing in particular, but the projects I've been lucky to work on, I can't really go into too much detail, but so I'm on the nano materials and composites team.
Right.
So a lot of things, making materials involving stuff such as carbon fiber and things like that, and then improving the properties and for different applications and stuff like that.
Yes.
Something which I'd never actually done before, because I came straight from sixth form. And then completely other stuff such as like sustainable plastic alternatives and stuff like that, where you can actually see the use for it in the future. And obviously the eco-friendly is massive at the minute. Working on stuff that's actually going to get used and that you can hear about being used. Yeah, I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, working with stuff which is genuinely at the cutting edge of new technology at any time must be fantastic. And yeah, I can believe that's a real thrill. And getting those kind of skills as well is going to set you up well for the decades ahead, because these are the growth areas, aren't they? If we're honest, I mean, things like nanotechnology, that is going to be one of the big 21st century opportunities, and getting an insight into how that works now is fantastic. In terms of how you feel that the skills you're obtaining are helping you outside work, do you think they're making you more confident? Are they helping in other ways beyond the workplace?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say on the confidence side, my confidence is growing a lot. When I first started at the company, it wasn't daunting, but it was a bit. I mean, everyone here they've like gone to uni, a lot of PhDs, stuff like that. With me just coming out of A levels, like right, felt like I knew nothing, but it's not really the case. You might know less, but you've got skills which other people might not. And as I've gone through the apprenticeship, it's sort of given me that confidence that, like, in myself to like put ideas forward, and then that's translated to outside the workplace. More comfortable just talking to people, talking to people I've never met before in meetings and stuff. And then when I go out in the real world, it's translated to that, I feel.
Yeah, well, I think that's it. I mean, all of life is confidence, and I think one of the great things about an apprenticeship is that you go in there and you've got to believe that you're on equal footing with everyone else. And I think one of the most important messages for National Apprenticeships Weeks is that actually apprenticeships are every bit as good as degree courses. It's just a different route into the workplace and adult life, and getting that parity of esteem message out there is massively important, I think. In terms of how you think we could encourage more young people to take apprenticeships and to follow in your footsteps, are there things you think that could be done better? Are there things which we ought to be doing with schools and colleges to try and promote this? I'm interested in what we do to really maximise the number of people who look to explore this route, because I think it's a great one, and I think it is increasingly something which we want to be directing more young people towards.
Yeah, I think the main thing there is just educating people that they're actually out there, and just the wide variety of apprenticeships that there is. So a lot of people probably still think apprenticeships is sort of like, if you wanted to do like a trade, you'd go into an apprenticeship, like bricklaying, etc. But I mean, it's not really the case. When I started looking, there's thousands of different apprenticeships for things that you'd probably never even thought of.
Yeah.
And I was quite lucky in my sixth form centre. There was like a dedicated person for apprenticeships who literally, he was really good, just went out and found ones which might be of interest here and helped you apply and everything. So they sort of offered apprenticeships and uni as like equal routes, whereas I think of maybe it's more traditional sixth forms try and push you to uni. So I think it could be a better balance with that.
Yeah, I think that's probably right, isn't it? It's getting that specialist careers advice at the right stage, and the National Careers Service, and I suppose Tees Valley Careers as well, which Ben Houchin set up locally. All of these more bespoke tools, I think, are really helpful for schools and colleges to get in front of their pupils. Well, that's fantastic. Do you have questions for me, Rhea?
To be honest, I thought I was just going to be telling you some stuff, but
no, I mean, that's fine. I mean, honestly, I'm very relaxed. I thought there might be some for me, but I'm very happy with that. And I mean, it is a real pleasure to to hear from someone who's obviously having such a positive experience as part of their apprenticeship. And I really do wish you every success in the years ahead. I mean, you're obviously a very competent and capable guy, and it feels like the world's your oyster sitting here today. That it's it's all there to be enjoyed and explored and learnt from.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I've got one question. I was just going to ask, how do you plan on expanding the apprenticeships?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good question. I mean, you're right. The government does want to do much more of this, and that's partly why we have weeks like this one to try and promote awareness. We are much clearer than any government has been for a long time about the importance of, as I say, parity of esteem between apprenticeships and the traditional routes of higher education. We're introducing the new T levels at the moment, which are designed to boost people's vocational options as opposed to traditional A levels. I think these new T levels will be very rigorous and worthwhile qualifications. Obviously, that in itself, I think, will help to tee people up, both for good apprenticeships, but also in terms of getting into that mindset that vocational qualifications can be outstanding options. I think then it's about making sure that we practice what we preach and that we do indeed send out that message, loud and clear, that this is a really good route, that it's something which can lead to very high skilled, very high status jobs. As you say, it's not only traditional trades, it's some of the most innovative career options out there that can now be accessed via the apprenticeship route. And I think we need to look at breaking down any barriers that remain in terms of looking at the apprentice routes into the professions as well, because I mean, I'm conscious that some of them have often quite high barriers to entry. I'm thinking of my own former profession, the law. Are there better options to boost the apprenticeship route into the legal profession, for example, or accountancy, and all of these other careers which people may think are only accessible via the university route? So I think there's a lot of work to be done reshaping people's mindsets, so that both young people and their parents understand that this is a perfectly good option, and indeed in many ways it avoids the challenges of university education, the very substantial student debt, and it does obviously mean that you're straight into a career, that you've got years of experience built up, and that you're earning while you learn. So it's a very attractive set of offers for young people, and it's about making sure that people are aware and that we break down any myths that exist about it being some kind of second class choice. It really is not. And I think the more we convey that message, then the more we'll see an improved uptake rate and really get this to the point where it becomes every bit as much of a default option as going to university.
Yeah, and I think one thing people might think about apprenticeships is it's always people say it's vocational, so they might think they're tunneling themselves into like one career forever, which I did think it might be a bit at the start, but certainly for me it's been the complete opposite, especially with a company like CPI doing such a wide variety of things. I mean it's done anything but tunnel me, and it's shown me all the different things which are happening, not just the technical like science type stuff, but I speak to people from like bid writing, project management, all other different types of jobs as well. So it gives me a good idea of like what I might want to move up to in the future.
Yeah, well, I think that's it. I mean, one of the hardest things at the start of your career is actually understanding the careers market at all. And it is sometimes only by being in the workplace that you actually get to see all the different types of opportunity that exist within complex organizations like CPI, and all the different routes that could be open to you. So no, I agree with that entirely. I mean, do you have a sense of at this stage where you might like to specialize, or is it still too early?
I'd say, to be honest, it's still too early. There's things that I enjoy across the range of projects that I've been doing. So I'm starting to get an idea of what I like less. But I think it is a bit too early at the minute to say what I'd like to go into. But that's the good thing. I've got 4 years to sort of decide that.
Yeah.
See where I might
understood. And it's I mean, halfway through, there's lots more to experience and a lot more, hopefully, pleasure to be had as well as learning. Well, really, thank you for your time. I really do appreciate it. I think you're a fantastic ambassador for apprenticeships in general and CPI in particular. Really, the very best of luck with the years ahead, and thank you for taking part in this. And we'll make sure we get this out there to send a message, not just to my constituents in Middlesbrough South and East Cleveland, but right across Teesside, that this is a great option, that there are fantastic opportunities open, even during a difficult time, like the one we're going through at present. and that it's really time to look to the future and get equipped to take these opportunities.
Right. Well, thank you as well for your time.
Excellent. Cheers, Ryu. All the best.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye now.